Last week, I shared with you a sales tip on this Google report that shows the number of influencers in the decision process when it comes to the typical B2B sale. So, quick recap is that last week we discussed 19 stakeholders involved in the process and the different levels of the decision maker and the time they're entering the process. The ultimates are in the beginning and the end of the process. The core committee members are relatively flat and heavily engaged. And there's influencers off to the side who are involved in the process. They're probably getting asked their opinion, but the very end of the process, they're not the decision makers. So for this week's tip, I want to ask you the question, what channels and messaging are you using to stay in touch in this process? So let's say your process from the beginning conversation to the sale is made might be 3 months. Let's say it's 90-day sales cycle and their buying cycle is 90 days. By the time they meet internally, they scope out what they're looking for, they meet with suppliers, they look at options, they go through all that process. Let's say it's 90 days. And we own the 90 days that these ultimates, they're involved in the beginning, but they're not involved until the end. So how are we, or the ultimates here, right? How are we staying in touch with them? Are we using LinkedIn? Are we doing value creation messages? Are we getting referrals and introductions to other people? Are we finding a reason to call them with some updated data or some updated information? Are we somehow engaging these ultimates throughout the process? So by the time that they get to the end of the process and reinsert themselves in the decision, we have better rapport. And here's the key, right? What if your competitor actually figured out how to do that in here and you didn't? So as we're looking at how do we stay in touch without being a pest, it's multiple channel. So looking at LinkedIn and emails and vidyards and face-to-face meetings through referrals and introductions and LinkedIn connections, how can you influence the process with 19 people when you can't always be doing a live in a room meeting or a virtual meeting with them? Which channel are you using? What kind of messaging are you using? And what kind of strategy are you using to stay inserting yourself basically in the process from the very beginning of awareness all the way through when they make a decision?